I'm a fan, man. I'm a real fan. Feel real honored to be up in here, you know what I'm saying? They had to bring out the expensive mics for this one.
What's going on, guys? I am Adam Shear here with Shear Sports Cuts Podcast. Today, I don't have any Bloomington news. Sorry, Hoosier fans. Not a whole lot going on campus. Football will be coming up here soon, though, so we'll talk some of that in the future. I do, however, have what I believe are two interesting in the nation and in the state topics for those who don't know what state I'm in. From what I obviously said, I am in Indiana, so that topic we'll deal with in Indiana sports topic. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about today is my in the nation piece, and what I would like to discuss is the World Cup. No, I don't want to talk about the scores. No, I don't want to talk about the refs. And no, I don't even want to talk about Ronaldo's haircut. What I would like to discuss is the all of a sudden huge spark in interest in soccer throughout the United States. For about 8 minutes, soccer was the biggest thing in our country. When Landon Donovan scored that go-ahead goal to get the U.S. out of the first round, everyone all of a sudden was a soccer fan. Your dad was a soccer fan, your mom liked soccer, your friends were watching soccer, your friends of friends were talking about it, your dogs, your cats, the sharks at the zoo, the zebras, the giraffes, the tadpoles, the soda cans that needed to be recycled that were laying on the side of US 37. Everybody, everything was talking about soccer that enjoyed sports. But then all of a sudden the U.S. lost to Ghana. And no one cares now? No one cares about soccer? Wait. Let me be realistic here. We're talking about the United States. We have really never shown a legitimate interest in soccer. And the big issue is, if we're not the best in a sport, we don't care. You know, all of a sudden here, the U.S. had a chance to be the best, and they didn't capitalize on that, and no one is talking about soccer anymore. Now, the U.S. had a good soccer team, I should say. They weren't going to win. That wasn't going to happen. But they deserved the support they got. And that's what I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue about nationalism here. When it comes to any team representing our country, we should give them support, whether it's our men's ice hockey team, whether it's our men's water polo team, whatever it is. As a country, we need to be supporting our teams that can make us look like more glorified athletes in this country. Now, what I want to argue here, though, on top of the fact that the World Cup was garnering a ton of attention, is the real question that if the NFL had any big stories going on, if there was a steroid allegation in baseball on the level of Ubaldo Jimenez, Albert Pujols, King Griffey Jr. finally came out as a steroid user. Now, these are all hypothetical situations. None of those guys are steroid users. At least we don't know of that yet. They could be. Or, if LeBron James was tipping his hat as to where he was going, would we talk about soccer? No, we wouldn't. That brings me back to my point. We are not the best in soccer, so we don't care about soccer. We push it to the side continually. The World Cup's been here before. All of a sudden, the U.S. was good, so we kind of cared. But now that they lost, now that they have no shot at the gold, no shot at the title, every bit of interest that we had is gone. Is this a big surprise to anybody? I mean, the men's hockey team in the Olympics was one goal away from being the coolest sport in the entire country. A lot of people enjoy watching hockey when they actually give it a chance. I mean, the game is higher scoring than soccer, pretty similar in the way it goes about. I mean, you have a few shots on goal. Those are exciting. They get people more interested in the game. But then all of a sudden, Sidney Crosby puts in a goal in overtime. The U.S. ends up with silver. Canada ends up with gold. Canada still loves hockey. We, not so much anymore. Don't care. Blackhawks, all right, yeah, they got some attention in Chicago. Where else did it come from? Not a whole lot of places. A lot of bandwagon fans, maybe. A lot of bandwagon Flyers fans in that Stanley Cup. But nonetheless, hockey lost its spark. They weren't the best. The U.S. soccer team, not the best. The World Cup is a big event, but it will never be the Super Bowl to our country. It will never be the World Series, not the NBA Finals, maybe a little more popular than the Stanley Cup. But until our team can legitimately compete for the World Cup title, not very many people in this country are going to show the interest that the U.S. soccer team had at their hands going into the second round of the tournament. Had they beat Ghana, who knows? I mean, maybe we wouldn't be talking about the big three. And no, I'm not talking about the Celtics' big three. I'm talking about football, basketball, and baseball, the three sports that our country truly shows continual interest in. Now that soccer's lost its spot, though, no one's talking about it, especially now that England's gone. It's not going to grab nearly the amount of attention. We now are only a month away from NFL training camp. That's going to get a ton of attention. LeBron James and Chris Bosh are rumored to be going to the Bulls, according to the New York Times. So the NBA is back in the news, especially with their NBA draft just finishing up. And then we've had a couple of dugout blow-ups between players and teams. You know, Evan Longoria and BJ Upton got into it. Carlos Zambrano lost his mind. Not a big surprise. The guy at this point should be known as the Rasheed Wallace of the major leagues. But that's what people are talking about. We're not talking about soccer anymore. We're not going to talk about Argentina. We're not going to talk about how Ghana will fare throughout the rest of the tournament. These things just aren't as big of a deal to our country. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about the sports that we've cared about forever.